Hi, I'm Farron Cousins in for David Pakman, and this is the David Pakman Show. Obviously, biggest news in the world right now, we've got to just jump right into this, and that is the deteriorating situation in Afghanistan. Over the weekend, the Afghani president was forced to evacuate the country, leaving the capital in Kabul to fall to the Taliban. The Taliban have been encroaching throughout the country over the last week or so in really spectacular fashion, just taking over as much as they can. And now it appears with them having seized the capital, we're in for quite the situation, right? And if you've been following social media over the weekend, I'm sure you've seen plenty of people with opinions about what should and should not happen in the country right now. You've got the corporate-controlled media and, of course, all the Republicans out there telling us we've got to double down. Biden himself sending 5,000 more troops over the last week back to Afghanistan when we're supposed to be getting all of our people out of Afghanistan. U.S. Embassy has had to be evacuated as well. And then, of course, you have the other side. You have the people who say, listen, you can't send anybody over there. This is a 20-year, trillion-dollar, endless war. Get the hell out and stay out. Unfortunately, it's not as easy as all of these armchair military strategists would have you believe. It's not as simple as the United States sending thousands of troops over there. We'll get the Taliban out of the country again, and everything will be great. Not that simple. It's not as simple as walking away saying, we created this mess. Good luck dealing with it. That destabilizes, the region. So what is the answer? I don't know. And I'm firmly willing to admit that I don't know. And I think that's a problem that a lot of folks have in this business, whether it's right or left, always desperate to have a definitive answer as to what we need to do. And they're always so sure of that answer. But folks, like I said, I think this is a situation that's not as black and white as a lot of people want to make it seem. I personally do not want any U.S. troops going back to Afghanistan. But at the same time, we have to also look at what we did to that country. We did this over 20 years. We helped to destabilize not just Afghanistan, but the entire region with our ridiculous and false foreign policy based on lies. And Obama kept us there. Trump acted like he was going to get us out. Tried to negotiate with the Taliban, but that didn't do much good. And so Biden comes along and says, we're going to finish getting out of there. We didn't. Now we're going back. So what is the solution? Can we just sit here and say, okay, Taliban, Afghanistan is yours. We screwed it up. Maybe you can do better. I obviously don't think we can do that. Is the answer sending thousands more troops back to the country to just put it back in the situation it was in before we even left? That's also a terrible idea. Unfortunately, there's no easy answers. And any answer we have has to address the fact that the United States has made this situation so much worse. The Taliban now has their hands on all these U.S. weapons that we've been sending over there for decades now. They've got the strongholds. They have forced us out. They have forced the Afghan government out. And they say they're now waiting for a peaceful transfer of power. So, again, I don't have a definitive answer. One suggestion I have at this point is we need to do what George W. Bush originally talked about doing until he pissed off all our allies, is we need a coalition. The United States has proven that we can't handle the situation there. We never went in with an actual strategy. So it's kind of hard 20 years after the fact to really be able to get a good solid strategy, a really good ground game going because we never had one to begin with. So everybody else that comes along, all the other leaders, Obama, Trump, and Biden, they're having to piece it together as they go. And nobody got it right. I mean, what's happening right now in Afghanistan is proof that nobody got it right. The only difference is that for all of those years, the Taliban really only had control on the outskirts, the really rural areas of Afghanistan. That's where they were able to, see progress. And we were able to fight them back. And as soon as we leave, they come back. So the answer is not obviously sending more troops over there for another 20 years, so we have another generation of American soldiers growing up as part of this war machine. That's not tenable. That's not something we can do. I do think the best path forward at this point, and again, I'm not a military strategist, don't claim to be, but if we do not have a solid coalition of allies, if we cannot get other countries involved to pledge to protect this area, if we have to negotiate with the Taliban, then we have to negotiate at this point. But honestly, I don't know what else. And it all stems from those failures of the war on terror. We have had Republicans try this. We have had Democrats try this. This is now bipartisan failure with regards to our Afghanistan foreign policy. So the solution is not going to come from the United States. We need people that are better at this. We need people who can look at it a little more objectively than the United States can, because we're still stuck in that war on terror mentality that followed the attacks of 9/11. We're still not thinking clearly at this point. And again, what's happening right now is further proof of that. So if we can't get some cooler heads in there, if we can't get some real, true allies, maybe other nations in the region that can help us out, then this is what it is. And we're stuck with this mess that we created. And in the meantime, until we figure this out, the United States need to say, listen, we're going to take Afghan refugees. Over the weekend, tens of thousands of people daily trying to get out of the country because they see what's happening. They understand this is for real. Okay, this isn't a temporary insurgency here that we're seeing. This is what their life may become now. And I would say after 20 years of occupying their country, after helping to destabilize it, I'd say that's the least we could do is take these people into our country. And that is the next step that I want to see this Biden administration take. Acknowledge the failures of the United States. Acknowledge that we don't have the answers yet. And that is a terrifying thing for a country to admit, and I guarantee you'll never hear them say that. But at least we can do that. Me, everybody watching this, all of the other people left and right out there with the armchair punditry, admit that we don't know how to correctly handle this situation. Because it sucks to have to admit that you don't know it. But I think at this point, that's where we're at. And I don't think anybody can definitively say that, yes, I know for certain we have to do this or we can't do that. It's not that simple. But we're going to continue to watch as the corporate media, CNN's already out there, the major newspapers are already out there. Oh my God, this is horrible. We got to get troops back there. They're going to push for war because war means ratings, war means advertisements, and that's what makes them money. On the other side of all of this, you have the Republicans out there nonstop over the weekend telling us that this is a failure of the Biden administration. This failure rests solely on his shoulders. And whether it's fair or not, it does. He is the leader of the country right now. This was a decision that was made. And so if it succeeds or fails, that is on him. And you may think it's fair, you may think it's not fair, but it doesn't matter. Politically speaking, yes, it is on him. And Republicans are going to do everything they can to use that to their advantage, especially heading into the midterms. Look, as we all know, Republicans have struggled terrifically trying to come up with any kind of talking point to take down Joe Biden. Going as far a couple months ago to blame him for the Chick-fil-A sauce shortage. This is one that might stick. And that's even more terrifying, folks. Because if the midterm elections, and especially if the 2024 presidential elections, become about failed foreign policy, and people get mad at the Democrat who inherited all of it. And again, I think it's rather unfair for that to happen, but I understand that that is what is going to happen. Then we're going to end up with something terrible. That's a situation where you end up with somebody like Tom Cotton coming out and saying, oh my God, we've got to get back over there. Look at all this instability the Democrats created. The terrorists have taken over. I've been there. I know what it's like over there. And I know what we can do. And people will flock to that. I promise you. I can promise you that because we've seen it happen. We saw it happen in the 2004 election. Turmoil in the Middle East. And the Republicans, unfortunately, did a much better job of messaging, saying we're the only ones that can keep you safe. They did it through misinformation. They did it through lies. They did it through fake news and all of that, yes. But it worked on the American public. So 2024 could end up being a repeat of the 2004 election based on that simple fact. And again, that's the situation where you end up with somebody worse. You end up with the worst kind of war hawk at the top of that Republican ticket who is going to do unimaginable things over there in the Middle East where all of this is taking place. Because it's not just going to be about Afghanistan either. They're going to throw in Iran. They're going to throw in Syria. They're going to say, look at all these democratic failures abroad. That's bad news. That is bad news for the Democratic Party. And it's bad news for the United States as well, and it's bad news for everybody over there in the Middle East, because again, we end up with somebody worse. And I picked Tom Cotton because he is somebody that served. This could be the kind of event that a guy like him needs to really bolster up his poll numbers, because trust me, he's not doing well so far in all the little straw polls for 2024. So this could be the moment that Tom Cotton emerges as their guy, as the Republicans' guy. You know, Ron DeSantis doesn't have that. Ted Cruz certainly doesn't have that. Donald Trump obviously doesn't have that, although he is going to try to use this to his advantage as well. But the point is, we can't go back to a situation, whether it is with a Democrat or a Republican, where we think that we can bomb our way out of the problem. That's never going to work. We tried it for 20 years. And an abrupt pullout here saying, well, best of luck to you all. While it's best for U.S. troops, sure. We've destabilized the region, created hundreds of thousands of, refugees at this point. Not just evacuees, but refugees with nowhere to go. And we have to own that as a country. As an administration, they have to own that. They may not have started this mess, but they've been with it every step of the way, unfortunately. So we have to do better. We have to do better for these people. We have to do better for the world. And we have to get more people on our side willing to take a leadership role, take it away from us, I feel, and we can offer the support that they need. I do not want another conflict in the Middle East. I do not want more war. I do not want more dead soldiers, whether it's U.S. soldiers or whether it's a foreign country soldiers. We don't need that at all. So we have to put our best and brightest together. We got to get the intelligence, and I don't mean like covert, I mean like literal intelligence. The smart people in the room need to take things over, and they need to get with the other smartest people around the country and try to figure out a way that this doesn't end with more bombs and more bloodshed. But unfortunately, I do not think that the cooler heads are going to prevail in this situation, and that is not going to end well for anybody. I'm Farron Cousins, and for David Pakman, we'll be right back.
I've struggled falling asleep at night and realized part of it could be because of the blue light coming from my phone and computer screens. And peer-reviewed studies have shown that blue light can suppress the hormone melatonin, which can make it difficult to fall asleep. Blue light can disturb your circadian rhythms. But it hasn't been an issue for me since I discovered Blue Block's glasses, which filter out that blue light. They're one of our sponsors. A lot of other companies are mass producing supposed blue light glasses in factories with no actual quality standards. Blue Block's glasses are made in actual optics labs at their headquarters in Australia. They have over 40 stylish frames, a prescription version, non-prescription, even reading glasses. And for every pair of glasses that Blue Blocks sells, they give a pair of reading glasses to someone in need. You'll get 20% off when you go to blueblocks.com/Pacman. The link is right underneath this video, and there's free shipping worldwide on orders over $115.